Hey guys, good morning. It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur with inspirations for your life. It's great to be here. This is actually being broadcasted on February 8th, 2025. Great to have you here with me. Thank you so much for being here. A big welcome to all of you. Maybe you want to go to the kitchen, get yourself something delicious, something hot, something cold, something healthy, or just something sweet. Whatever it is, go ahead and grab that. I want to welcome you to another insightful episode of Inspirations for Your Life podcast. I'm your host and also a podcast host, Coach John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. Today, I'm going to explore strategies that can elevate your study routine, not just today, but actually the entire week, and actually help you maximize learning. Whether you're preparing for exams, mastering new skills, or simply looking to improve your study habits, the techniques I'll discuss this entire week, not just today, will make a huge difference in your life, from setting specific promises to breaking study sessions into manageable intervals and using active recall. Now, these methods will not only help you learn more effectively, but also build habits that can lead to long term success. So, get ready, everyone, to transform your approach to studying and unlock your full potential. Well, let's kick it off. All right. So, the first one is set specific promises. So, setting clear, achievable promises or goals is the foundation of productive studying. When you have a specific target in mind, it's easier to stay focused and motivated. Focus on one topic at a time to avoid feeling overwhelmed and ensure a deeper understanding. Setting a task set of deadlines allows you to stay on track and prevent any type of procrastination that could linger in, and make sure that you stay on progress. Now, tracking your progress along the way will help you recognize your accomplishments and identify areas that need improvement. By keeping your promise realistic and measurable, you can make the most of your study sessions and avoid burnout. Because I think this is a big challenge. And with myself going back to college for my master's and then my PhD, I thought this would be a great time because I definitely am sharpening up some of my skills so I can be the best that I can be. But these are the things they do not teach you in college. They don't teach you these things in high school. They don't teach you these things in grammar school. So, how do you learn them? Well, you have to learn them on your own. You have to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And this goes way beyond your schooling. This even goes into your professional life when you might be asked to read something or to learn something. You're like, oh, I don't want to learn anything. Well, you can't tell your boss if he works with, I don't want to learn something. Well, being an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, for me, learning is a passion. It's something that I feel really good about. And I know you will too, but you just have to get comfortable with it. Does that make sense to everyone? And hopefully, you'll realize that this learning process makes learning fun. Number two, break your study sessions into short intervals. My favorite method, and I use this every day, it's called the Pomodoro method. It's a powerful technique that divides study sessions into short intervals. Typically, I do 4 25-minute sessions. So I do 3 25-minute sessions, each followed by 5 minutes. And the fourth Pomodoro session is followed by a 45-minute or an hour break. Now, it's very important that when the alarm chimes, and you can do this right in Windows, you can basically go to your start button and you can just type the word focus for focus settings, and right in there, you can click on start a focus session. Now, what it does, it actually asks you in that focus session at the top. It says the first thing it will ask you is, how long basically do you want the focus session is what it's asking you. So it says session duration. So if you pick 30 minutes, that doesn't mean your sessions are going to be 30 minutes. That means you're going to have one Pomodoro session of 30 minutes and actually 25 minutes and then a 5 minute a break. So when you set the timer longer, like I typically set one for 60 minutes or an hour and 20 minutes, so 120 minutes, it will put in a few Pomodoros. It'll give me 25-minute increments and then a 5-minute break. So you have an option to show the timer in the clock apps, hide badges on taskbar apps, hide flashing on taskbar apps, turn on do not disturb, which I always recommend doing. And so what this does is it does two things. It says, hey, brain, I want you to focus now for 25 minutes or 20 minutes. And when that bell rings, you're going to stop. You're not going to make any phone calls. You're not going to do anything that's going to require really any thinking. If you want to get up and do some exercises, different type of thinking, right? If you want to go maybe have a drink, use the restroom, walk around, take a few breaths, it's fine. But don't check your email. Don't even use your iPhone. Don't do anything that's going to require a cognitive type of action. Again, exercising that's kind of fun, that's not going to be too strenuous. Maybe you want to stretch or touch your toes or something. That's going to be kind of fun. And that's a different type of mind involvement than you choosing to check your email or maybe even just finish up that one little sentence. Maybe you were in the middle of writing something. This happens to me a lot. I'm in the middle of writing and the Pomodoro timer goes off. I'm like, oh, I just want to finish that word. Okay, I really can't. I got to stop. I got to stop right here and I got to get up. And that is really important. I'm going to tell you, since I've been doing Pomodoro sessions, my studying has been a lot more effective. So these short bursts of focused study time increase concentration and help retain information better. Taking regular breaks throughout your study session is not only something that will refresh your mind, but also will prevent fatigue. As you get more comfortable with the technique, you can gradually increase the study time and adjust it to your needs. Now, I wouldn't recommend going more than 30 minutes, 30, 35. I mean, I think 20, 25 is really good. And your brain knows that, hey, I'm going to put 20, 25 minutes in, and then I'm going to get a break. So that's really cool. So your mind knows you're never going to get tired. Again, the key is to avoid long, unbroken study periods that can lead to exhaustion and decreased productivity. What I like to do in my Pomodoro breaks is maybe get up and have an apple or have a banana or have something and then come back. So it's going to refuel my system. Maybe you want a piece of chocolate or something. So we're going to talk about not only study techniques, but we're also going to talk about how you stay awake in class, because I think that's a big concern for people I've surveyed, not just in college, but also in graduate school of college. And the average person, if you know this, the average a person falls asleep in about 90 minutes in college of class. That's about what it is. Some might stay awake a little bit longer, but we're going to talk about that and how you can, really be at the top of your game. So we got a lot to talk about this week. All right. So number 3, use active recall. So active recall is one of the most effective study methods. Instead of simply rereading your notes or textbooks, test your memory by recalling the information from memory. This strengthens your long-term retention and improves your ability to recall the material under pressure. Regularly reviewing the material and challenging yourself with questions ensures that you're actively engaging with the content. Flashcards are an amazing tool for quick recall, and by using them, you reinforce concepts and facts in your memory, and you focus on truly understanding the material instead of memorizing it passively, as this can lead to deeper and a more lasting comprehension, which is what we want. Many people go to school because, they want to get a grade, they want to get a job, but a lot of people don't go to school because they want to learn. They go there because they want that piece of paper. But college gives you basically the ability for you to figure out how to learn. Now, you might say, gee, that's not on the course. Well, why is it? And this is a great question. Why does college make you take advanced math? Well, a lot of people question whether it should be required or not. Okay. And the thing is, when we think about it, it's supposed to engage your mind so you can study. Now, the thing about college, which I think is very interesting, and I'm going to be talking about this all week, is that with college or any educational institution or something that happens, it could be your CEU's continuing education unit credits. Like a lot of doctors have to take so many every year, every 2 years. Even electricians and different things have to do that. So one, it keeps you up with the latest trends and the latest laws and things like that. The other thing it does is it challenges you to actually be at the top of your game. It challenges you to figure out, well, how do I learn this? What do I do to learn this? I have no clue. And so what a lot of people will find is that they get extremely frustrated when they are asked to learn something. Yeah, I know. That frustration comes because They just don't know what to do. And unfortunately, colleges do not teach this. Colleges are a grounds for you to figure out who you are, how you study, how you make the connections. So a lot of it, ladies and gentlemen, is on you. That's right. I said that. A lot of it is on you. Of course, you can get help. You can reach out and things like that. And we're going to talk about these things later in the week. But I feel this is a really, really good topic. Again, the master topic for the week, and it's also the show topic for today, how to study smarter and not harder. So when we look at the word uh, smarter, smarter implies that we're going to use less resources, less energy, but we're going to have a very good outcome in terms of business when we learn how to, let's say, engage people smarter. We get relationships easier. We get clients easier, right? So I get that a lot of people get frustrated. I mean, that's just par for the course. And so what I've also learned is that you have to be willing to challenge yourself. You have to be willing to ask yourself these kinds of questions. And these are not easy questions. These are questions that you might take days and weeks to figure out, but that's okay. It's about you getting comfortable. Remember when I said practice getting comfortable being uncomfortable? Practice getting comfortable being uncomfortable. Practice getting comfortable being uncomfortable. Now, again, I'm not trying to tell you that you should be in pain. I don't want you to mistake that. I want you to just realize that if we push the envelope just a little bit further, if we give ourselves a little bit of strain, that strain is going to pay off. When we lift weights or we do exercises, we don't want to put ourselves in pain, but we want to put ourselves in a little bit of discomfort so that it has an effect on our body. So, studying smarter instead of harder is something that many people wrestle with. And this is not just people that are in grammar school or high school or even um, basically people that are, the undergraduates. It stems all the way into graduate school, master's, PhD, and it even evolves into things in your field. There might be something you have to learn. And so we're going to talk about different ways that you can learn things, ways that are going to make it fun, make it different for you. I think the reason why a lot of people don't learn is they're put under pressure. And if they're put under pressure to learn, then it's like they don't want to learn. So if you really want to learn something, you will. This is why people going back to school after they become a graduate in college tend to do better because a lot of times it's their money. Second thing is it's in a field that they want to study. It's something they want to pursue. All right. But there are challenges we're going to talk about, like the dry professor. We'll talk about those things this week. And so when I said to you in the beginning about setting specific promises, I mean, the more specific you can get, the easier it's going to be to reach that promise, that goal, that aspiration you have. And so I want you to just focus on one topic. That's right, just one topic at a time. And so by doing this, it will mitigate you feeling overwhelmed and it will give you a sense that it's going to be okay and that you can have a deeper understanding. So it's important to set task deadlines. I think that's another important thing. And so one of the things I do every day, and it's very helpful, is I take a piece of paper. It could be a white piece of paper. And I just write the things down. No technology, just write the things down. And as I complete them, I cross it off. Two things happen. One, I know what I need to get done because I've written it down and my mind knows. It's like, I don't even have to go back and look at the list, really. I mean, I can, but I already know like what I need to do. Like, oh, I got to go cross that off the list. I just posted IFYL or I just did the IFYL show. I got to cross that off my list. And so these are the kinds of things, ladies and gentlemen, that are like, the carrot. We've heard about, dangling the carrot. So this is like our carrot. This is like our natural high that we get. We feel good about things. The things that we feel good about allow us to be empowered. And so I think as we get older, we have to figure out what makes us feel good. When we're younger, we're relying on everyone else to tell us what's going to make us feel good. And although we're getting a big buffet of things to choose from, it's up to us to figure out what is it we really like in relationships, in things that we enjoy doing, like our passions. I always said this before, you don't want to take a career objective in a field that you have no interest in. Okay, you're going to be bored out of your mind. If you do something you're passionate about, like I do every day, I never work a day in my life. Now, working on my master's is a little bit challenging sometimes. But again, I know there's rewards for putting in that type of commitment, for getting that type of discomfort. And, being out of college for many years and just going back in, it's a brain shock. I've always loved education, but it is a big brain shock because there's so many things happening to us. We're dealing with a new environment again. We're dealing with a new professor, a new type. We're dealing with a new workload. We're dealing with maybe a new university or college. We're dealing with a new schedule. We're dealing with managing that into our regular business life and personal life. These are not easy things to do. In fact, when we go off to college as an undergraduate, I would probably say it's just as hard at the age going over to college and being an undergraduate. If I was to do that now, it'd be a piece of cake. As it is now, for me being a graduate in studies to study my master's and then my PhD, it's because our mind and our body have grown. You've heard me talk about the tiger before and the lion before, right? So, and the elephant. Well, let's talk about the elephant. So, the elephant's tied to this great big stake, right? And so the elephant tries to break free, tries many times. And after several years, it just gives up. Finally, that elephant gets so big, it could crush anything, even harm people accidentally because it's so heavy. And the elephant never tries again because the elephant gets conditioned in its mind that it can't. And it believes that with every core of its being. Now, it doesn't say, hey, I can't, it doesn't go through like what we do, but it gets the understanding that, hey, I just can't do this, right? Of course, the thought patterns are probably a little different than humans, but the result is the same, that I've tried and this just thing won't budge. It won't loosen. And so when we can't get something to move even a tiny bit, what do? We give up. How many of you ever tried to move something? Maybe something very heavy. It could be on stage. It could be in your house. It could be in your office, and you can't move it. So what do you try to do? You try to push it. You can't even get it. So maybe you try to put something under it so that you can, maybe lift a corner and then you try to like roll it like under these like casters or these little plastic things that let you push it away. But if that doesn't work, what do? Well, you seek help. Maybe you go get a dolly, right? And you're able to displace the weight. But if we just said we can't, then it's like we're closed to the idea and it's never going to happen. And does that make sense to everyone? As we get older, many people say to me, we can't. But that can't is coming from other people. Okay. It was 1899, there was a rumor had it that back in 1899, the U.S. Commissions of Patents, Charles H. Duell, declared that everything that could be invented had been invented already. In actuality, Duell's supposed comment and his recommendation that the patent office be closed down proved an urban myth. Of course, that didn't prevent the metaphor from being abused by lots of people, such as today, or by presidential speechwriters. If we closed the patent office, there would not be any inventions. If we believe today that we can't be any smarter, then we never will get smarter. And this goes back to Henry Ford. And I've said this many times. If we believe we can't, we're right. And if we can, we're right. So the thinking is what gives us the ability to move forward. It's our fuel, it's our motivation. But sometimes, we can't get the bag like even open a little bit. We can't get the lid even started. We can't even get the uh, cap on a bottle to loosen a little bit, right? And so many people say, "Well, gee, I can't do it." What do you do? Maybe I remember there was a jar we had many years ago, and it was for this molasses, and I couldn't get open. No matter what I tried, I couldn't get open. I had these rubber grips; it wouldn't work. And so I was like, "There's got to be a way, right?" I couldn't do it with all my strength. I couldn't do it. I asked several people with all their strength, and they couldn't do it. And so I said, "Well, how do I do this?" So I found a device that actually allows the let's say the top to be clamped, and then you hold it and then you can turn it. So what this device did is it held it 100% tight. So everybody's hand has a certain little bit of slip. Even if they're really strong, they're still going to slip a little bit. And after trying for so long, guess what's going to happen? Your hand's going to start to moisten or get a little perspiration, and that's going to make you slip. Even though you might not be aware of it, that tiny bit of slip is going to prevent you from actually getting the jar open. So, what this proved is that I didn't have the solution directly, but I figured out there had to be a way to get this open. And so they make a device that you put the can basically in or the bottle in and you squeeze it, you hold the bottom and and literally came off in 2 seconds. So that means that there is a smart way to do something and there's a hard way to do something. The hard way would be like, oh, I'm just going to keep trying and keep trying and just going to keep trying, until I pass out. No, you don't want to do that. So realizing that there is another way around the obstacle. My obstacle was getting my can or my jar opened. And so what I discovered was that when the molasses was closed from the factory, they didn't clean the lid off very well. And so the molasses was sticking to the sides, therefore preventing it. So whenever I open the molasses and I put it back, I make sure the jar is cleaned off nice. And I also make sure I wash the cap off and I dry it, put it back on. And now every time I can open it. But that's just something I was able to determine from what was going on. Now, you might say to me, John, that's insane. Well, a lot of problems like that happen in life. And I think what college teaches us is that this may not be the solution to our problem, but it teaches us that we have to use our brain to find resources to allow us to solve the problem. A great person once said, the solution to every problem is in the problem itself. That's pretty powerful. So definitely make sure your promises are very specific. Make sure you use Pomodoro methods. I think that's really a key method. Somebody had messaged me before and said, is there a Pomodoro timer on Mac? So right now, to my knowledge, there is a Pomodoro timer, but you do have to purchase it, unfortunately. So it's not free on the Apple, but on Windows it is included. And there are lots of them that you can get. But literally, you could set your phone to be your timer. But the difference with the Pomodoro is that it gives you the break timer right after. So that's really what's nice. And Windows does this so incredibly well. Active recall. Make the process of retrieving the information fun. Make it a little challenging. Make it a game for yourself. And we'll talk later in the week about gamification and how that can help learning. But I think when we understand that learning is not about doing things over and over and over again, that's not the only way to learn. That's the hard way to learn. There are other ways that we can learn that can be fun, that can be engaging, and that will help us increase the level that's retained from the normal bell curve. So I think this is an important lesson today, but I think the entire week is going to be pretty powerful because I know there are people in this world, regardless of what age you're at, want to learn something new. And if you want to learn something new, then you've got to embrace the fact that it might be, I don't want to use the word hard, it might be different. It might be a little challenging. If we want to think about math for a second, discrete math in the sense isn't hard, it's just a little weird. It's just a little different. It's another way of thinking. If I asked you to write with your non-dominant hand, I happen to be a righty, so if I wrote with my left, it'd be a little uncomfortable. Could I do it? I could. It would be hard to read. So I think these are important things that we have to realize as people and know that we have the potential, ladies and gentlemen, to grow in our lives. But this isn't something that is going to happen in 5 minutes. This is what I want to tell you. It's not going to happen in 5 minutes. And if it's not going to happen in 5 minutes, then hopefully you'll understand that it's got to be about, you know, what we can do, how we can affect that change in our life. And again, that is not a simple thing. I've got to tell you right now, it is not a simple thing. But what it is something pretty amazing. Something that can literally be like, oh, wow. Like, you get the aha moment. Oh, wow, that's amazing, right? So you can do that in your life. You can do that all the time. And if you do that every single day in your life, you're like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know this before. So just taking 5 minutes a day to learn something new can greatly enhance not only your personal life, but your professional life. Why do people not do it? They're scared. It's different. It's uncomfortable, right? It's writing with the left hand. Now, I'm not telling you to go write with your left hand or your non dominant hand, but we have to practice getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And if we're not willing to do that, to step in the water when it's a little bit colder, right? Then we're going to be disappointed like over and over again. And I think this is something that everyone needs to accept in life. And if you accept this, then the practice of getting comfortable, being uncomfortable, actually gets easier, ladies and gentlemen. It gets easier. But, no great runner ever became an expert by just putting himself into shoes and running, right? He had to practice over and over again. Ladies and gentlemen, I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. It's always a privilege, pleasure, and honor to be with you guys on these amazing evenings. I hope that you will like, love, and support the channel. Share it out to everyone you know. And you can visit believemeachieve.com. And I'll catch you guys real soon for another great episode. Thank you so much. And remember, we can make changes in our life if we really want to.